You think this time Gronk is retired for good?
I do, Skip. I just think, as you know, look, I know Gronk loves the game of football. I know he loves being around his teammates, but there's so much more that goes into it. Because I don't know if he has the desire to train like Tom Brady. Like Tom loves to studying. Tom loves to going out there in the backyard and throwing and going through the process of getting ready to play the game of football. I don't know if Gronk necessarily loves that aspect.
Remember what he said on the Manning cast last year? He doesn't study at all. He just waits for Tom to tell him in practice, you need to do this week.
Exactly. Right? I think he's a little bit more into it than that, Skip. But as you get older, it gets harder and harder for you to train at the intensity and summons up the energy and the effort to go out there and do the things necessary for you to be great. And Gronk has been at a level, it's hard for him to come out in there just willy-nilly dally around. That's not who he is. That's not what he is. I know we think of Gronk as a big, fun-loving guy, the college co-ed kid that just wants to drink beer, but he's highly intelligent, football intelligence. Yep. He understands what he needs to do, where he needs to be, and how soon he needs to get there. Yep. He has a tremendous wavelength with Tom Brady. They've been together for, 11, 12 years. So that's the only quarterback that he's known. I never saw him playing with someone else other than Tom because of the relationship that he has with Tom. Yep. But, Skip, like I said, and Drew saying that, well, he'll come back. Well, hell, if he's not going to train in the offseason to get ready for the season, what makes you think that he's probably going to have a job here at Fox, talking about football, Skip, that he's going to do the things necessary to go in the middle of the season? Very few people, and they say, well, you have to stay ready. You never know when you're going to get that call. Yep. True, but it's just hard for me to see Gronk coming back in the middle of the season. I really think this is over for him. And when you look at it, what does he have to prove? There's nothing Gronk can do, and that's one of the reasons I also walked away, Skip. I said, well, look, there's nothing else I can do that's going to change someone's perception of me. Some people say, well, he was good. Some people say he was a product of the system. Some people going to say he just had a big mouth. When you look at Gronk's accolades, the 4 Super Bowls, the first team All-Pro, the Pro Bowls, most postseason touchdowns, the second most postseason touchdowns receiving behind Jerry Rice, most 100-yard game, most single touchdowns in the season, all decades player, 100th anniversary team player. What could Gronk come back and accomplish that would make you change your perception of him? You have this perception of Gronk on the field. You know he's historically great. You have this perception of Gronk off the field, a big, fun-loving, college old guy. That's what he is. That's what you perceive him. So him coming back is not going to change things. Skip, I don't think he's coming back. He's had a hell of a career. I just wish, and I've said this, and I told him this, I wish you could have stayed 100% healthy for a decade like Tony, or stayed healthy like Gates, and saw what kind of numbers this man could have put up, Skip. Because the numbers that he put up, I don't know. I mean, there's some guys coming up out. Kelsey, I think Kelsey has the best chance out to challenge Gronk for supremacy. But, man, he's so far behind in touchdowns. But this man has had an unbelievable career. He's special. He's special. I don't have any problem. We're going to talk about him a little later. But he's my go-to
for the record, before we delve into it, you still think he is the best?
Yeah. I don't know.
Number one.
Yeah. Who's in the discussion?
Well, if O'Shea Sharpe is in there.
No, Skip. I'm good. I got what I got, but I couldn't score. I couldn't score the ball like this kid could. I could rack up yardage, but he came along in the first time. They had really shifted to the throwing game. They threw the ball a lot more than they run it, and he had Tom. I had Elway. I wish I could have had Elway for all 14 years. I got him for, 10 of those years. But Gronk is it for me when it comes to historically great tight ends. He's number one for me.
Okay, so you asked the $1 billion question. Why would he come back at all? Well, there's only one reason.
Tom?
It's just fun. It's just that's the only reason. Oh. It is fun to play. You are the all-time favorite receiver of the GOAT. Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty cool. Right. That's pretty special. That's about as special as it gets in your business, right? Yes. But to your point, he's already I'm pretty sure, first ballot slam dunk.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, there's no question about that.
So he is in the Hall of Fame, and yet we saw Tommy and Gronky do these silly little videos with a fake palm tree sitting outside the stadium.
With the feet of a little kiddie pool.
Yeah, and it's just silliness. And they're kind of two silly kids at heart because Tom's got a lot of kid in him, little kid in him. And if that still can be there for those two, well, then Gronk might say, I don't want to go to camp. I don't really want to play in September. It's too hot in September down in Tampa because it's sweaty hot. As you know, it's humid hot.
Yeah.
Maybe in October, maybe November 1st, when the weather turns a little bit cooler, maybe I say, okay, if Tommy calls me and says, big boy, I need you. Come on down here. You know, we're pretty good. We could be very good with you.
Right.
Then I could see it happening. I am still curious about the Drew Rosenhaus quotes which just jumped out at me. It would not surprise me if Tom Brady calls during the season to come back and Rob answers the call. Well, he is Rob's agent, so what's up with that? Is it just Drew, who's got a lot of showman in him also? He's a media grandstander. Is he just trying to speak that into existence because he'd like another fee or two from Rob Gronkowski?
Exactly.
Maybe. Is he speaking for Rob? Rob's got a lot of showmanship in him, and I think he taught Tom a lot of social media showmanship.
Right.
Because Gronk was way ahead of that curve, right?
Yes.
So are they just grandstanding? That they like to tease us, they like to set us up, they like to drop big hints? Is it possible that through Drew, they're just dropping another big hint right on top of your head so that you'll be ready on November 1st when he comes back?
But I think Tampa kind of prepared. They did take two tight ends in the draft.
They took them in the fourth and sixth round. And by the way, we're going to talk about this later. That fourth rounder, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
That Otten kid. But go ahead.
Yeah, so
but they were looking to the future like they thought the future is now.
Because if you think about it, Skip, it started to get like, I don't know, and it started getting later and later when he was going to return. And at some point in time, you're like, you know what? Man, I kind of like air conditioning. I kind of like not having to go and lift those heavy-ass weights and get ready and to be banging against, a Myles Garrett and to have to bump into people for a living anymore. When I can, I'm good. I think I'm good right now.
Okay, but how many shoe commercials can you do and be happy? How many WWE appearances can you make and be happy? Can you do that full-time and be happy? How much will you miss just being around Brady?
Yeah.
How much will you miss game days? You still miss game days, right?
Well, I think Skip, but here's the thing. The thing that really, I love training. I still do.
Yeah, you're the flip side of this. I don't think he loves.
I don't think he loves the training, and that's the part, Skip. If you're you're a quarterback and you're going to be protected, but Gronk has to lift those weights. Gronk can't do a TB12 method where he's doing bands and all that stretching. Gronk has to get up on the weights. Gronk has to do leg pressing. Gronk has to do bench. Gronk has to condition his body to withstand that punishment. They offer no really protection for Gronk, and they still hit Gronk the same way. How do you get him down, Skip? I got to hit him in his knees. I got to hit him below the waist because that's the only way I can get him down. He's a ginormous man. And so he's going to take punishment that, say, a quarterback necessarily wouldn't take. Yeah, of course, quarterbacks get hit. Yeah, sometimes they get blindsided. But Tom Brady mastered that. He got a spidey sense that he know they're coming. He's going to duck down. He's not going to take that full blow. Well, Gronk's going across the middle, Skip, and Brady misses him just slightly. That's a big shot. Okay. And so for you to not just say, you know what, I'm not going to do anything September, October, and then here I am, I'm going to turn it up in November. You're asking an awful lot for a professional athlete to do that.
As you age, and he is 33, Tom is 45, they play very different. It's almost like they play a different sport.
Yeah. It's almost like Gronk is the exact same age as Tom Brady, given the punishment that he's taken.
I could make a case he's older in football years than
You might
Tom
be
Brady.
right, Skip.
Because, to your point, I hold in my hand, I feel like Jerry Jones here after the draft. If I could have my camera. These are the 2 full sheets I had printed for me. If I could just hold these up. These are all of his injuries. This is an injury history of Rob Gronkowski. It's it's backs, it's elbows, it's knees, it's surgery upon surgery upon surgery upon concussion, because I am here to tell you, in all my years studying your sport, the most vulnerable player I have ever witnessed running with a football in his hand is Rob Gronkowski, because in those years in New England, when I was rooting for Brady to win a football game, I needed Gronk to stay healthy, and as soon as he would catch a pass in the open field and have 5 or 7 yards to run before contact, I'd be like, oh no, please don't, because he cannot make anybody miss.
No.
He just runs straight lines as hard as he can go.
Yes.
And Brady had a great quote about, he said, nobody has ever embodied the idea of, quote unquote, leaving it all out on the field like Rob has throughout his entire career. Now, that's a mouthful from Tom Brady,
right? An
ultimate competitor. He's saying he's the ultimate. He will give you every ounce.
Right.
Well, he'll give you every ounce of his well-being because he just, if he catches one up the seam and he's got 10 yards, he's just lumbering and lumbering. And they're coming at him and they're going to go low because you have to go low. And I'm thinking, please knee, no knee, please no knee. How many times do you see him get tackled and you're like, oh, is that the end of it?
And that was the thing, Skip, because he didn't have the shift to him and he was unwilling to run out of bounds. He was trying to get every yard he possibly could, and he had no shiftiness to make someone miss. Every once in a while, Skip, he would see the guy come in and he would stop. But more times than not, as far as the wiggle, like you see some of these tight ends have today, he didn't have that. But what he did have was he had a huge catch radius. He had a quarterback that understood where to get him the ball so he could turn and run. Skip, it was never a situation that he had to, catch the ball. He had to turn around and catch the ball and then take off. It was one fluid motion because that's what he was. He was not a start and stop tight end because he's so big. He's 6'6", probably two. At his prime, he probably was 260, 265. Now he's kind of slimmed down a little bit, Skip, but...
Yeah, they list him at 265.
Okay, well, so he might have been up to 270, 275.
I agree.
He's a huge man, and if you see him on the field when he had those pads on, he looked as if he was 300 pounds. He has the frame of a basketball player, Skip. He's not, he doesn't have like you look at him, you're like, well, damn, he's big, but he's not muscular. He's not like Diesel. He's just a big man.
Yep. Okay, just for the record, and we're going to go deeper into this in a few minutes here, but Rob Gronkowski could have played in the regular season a total of 193 games. That's how many were played while he was eligible to play.
Yes.
He missed 50 of 193.
That's 3 seasons.
50 games? Our old friend Tony Gonzalez had a grand total of 272 he could have played. He played in 270. He missed 2 games out of 272 games. Rob Gronkowski missed 50 of 193. That's crazy.
It's crazy. You got to be a little lucky. You got to be a little smart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And like Skip, that's 3 seasons. There's 16 games in a season. You said he missed 50 games. 48 games is 3 seasons.
What?
He missed 2 more games than 3 seasons. So you look at the numbers that he compiled.
I don't remember your injury history exactly.
I missed the equivalent of 1 season. I missed about 16 games in 14 years.
Okay. Well, I'd say that's pretty great.
Yeah, and so you look at the numbers that he put up. I think he has 92 touchdowns. He missed 3 seasons. So if you project that out, he'd have had more touchdowns than Gates and Gonzalez. Gates has 116, Gonzalez has 111.
Obviously, yeah. So Brady also goes on to say in his tribute that he put up on social media, every single snap, I knew that no matter how many people you put in front of him, he was going to get to his spot. Mm-hmm. That is the essence of that on-field relationship.
Yeah.
And you know this because of your relationship with John Elway.
Yes.
He has to trust that no matter what you throw, John has to trust that no matter what defense gets thrown at you, if there are 2 people in front of you or 3 people in front of you, you're just going to get where you're supposed to go. However you can get there on time.
Yes.
On time.
Yes.
Where he can trust, I can go, look, boom, and I can go back here to 84, and he's going to be where exactly on a dime where he's supposed to be. That's the essence of this relationship, and I believe that Tom is going to miss that relationship.
Of course.
And I believe that Tom will do his gee whiz darndest
to get him back
somewhere in October to say, hey, I just need you to come here and save me. Now let's get back to the relationship, and let's look at what happened late in the year last year. And I think this could play a part of what's happening right now. If you recall that late in the year New Orleans game at Tampa, it was a disaster. Mm-hmm. And Rob was a disaster in that game.
That was the worst game of his career.
I would say, because Tom threw him 11 balls, and he caught 2 for 23. And remember, Tom was all over him coming off the. Remember, he'd come up the field like, "What?
What are you doing?"
He wasn't saying it to Gronk. He was saying it to the heavens, like, "What are you doing?" Right? And he kind of doghoused him the next game, which was at Carolina. He threw him 2 balls, and he caught 1 for 23 yards.
Right.
And then the fateful turnaround was at the Jets when he threw him 10 balls. He got him out of the doghouse, and he caught 7 for 115, which sent one Antonio Brown right over the edge into on the sideline saying to Brady, "Oh, you're back to throwing to your boy again."
Skip, the thing is, for me, I don't believe Tom Brady ever puts any of his receivers in the doghouse. I just think the thing is that he will, like, if you're the guy, he's going to make sure you get your opportunities, but he's not going to go out of the way to put the ball in harm's way. He's just not going to throw you 12, 13 targets just for the sake of argument. And a lot of quarterbacks would do that because they don't want to piss the receiver off. They don't want to be in a situation where, man, I need my targets. I need my targets. Tom's like, I'm going to get you your targets, but the targets are going to be good targets. I'm just not throwing over there. You're covered. You're double covered. And I'm just not going to throw you the ball and says, okay, trust me. But the thing that there's a special type of relationship between a quarterback and a receiver. And I think Kyler Murray said it like, well, hell, D-Hop down there somewhere. The quarterback needs to know his guy he's where he's supposed to be. Skip, even if I'm running a route on the right side and he's looking to the left, he has to know he won. And he has to come without hesitation and fire the out route or fire the option route. And that's the type of relationship that's built over many of practice, many of meetings. It just doesn't show up on Sunday. A lot of times people are like, oh, look, that's a great on field. No, that's a great in meeting room relationship. That's a great on the practice field relationship where you talking. What are you thinking here? 12 to 14, 8 to 10. We'll do it like this because I know John would always tell me, I'm like, John, okay, they're calling 12 to 14. What you thinking? He said, give me 12 to 14 in practice. I know you're going to speed it up in the game and it's going to be 10 to 12, but I just want to make sure it times up right. If you get banged up a little bit, go 8 yards because I'm going to be ready to throw the ball. The hardest thing for me, Skip, coming from receiver to tight end, is that I was getting open so quick and he wasn't ready to throw the ball. And he would say, T, what's the difference in you? Why are you getting open? I'm not ready to throw it. By the time I'm ready to throw it, the guy's caught back up to you. So you have to understand how to run the routes, when to get open. Because if you're open and he's not ready to throw the ball, Skip, what have you done?
Okay. So my point, and I think a key difference in Elway and Brady is Brady does have a psycho Tom side. I think he's not exactly a bed of roses all the time. I think especially behind closed doors, he is difficult to deal with. I think that factors in to Gronk's decision here because it's not that easy to play for him because he is incredibly demanding. Like, relentlessly.
The greater the player, the more demanding they are.
You got it.
I mean,
and so Gronk's probably going through that thought process of, because he likes to have fun. And there's times like the New Orleans game leading into the Carolina game, it was no fun. You don't think Tom was a ball of fun?
Oh, he was sick. I mean, hold on, bro. I threw you 11 balls. You caught 2. And then you dropped like 3 or 4, and then a couple of them you lost in the lights. Oh, absolutely. That the next day was not fun. Meeting film study.
Paul cast over the team because Godwin got rocked and wrecked.
Oh yeah, that's when he hurt his knee. I think Malcolm Jenkins.
He did, and Brady ran over and
Dennis Allen.
Well, that's Psycho Tom.
If this is it, he's had the most unbelievable career for a tight end, and there's no arguing. That's not up for debate. Yeah, somebody might have more catches, someone has more yards, and someone has more touchdowns. But when you combine all those catches, yards, touchdowns, you combine what he did in the regular season versus what he did in the postseason, and you look at, I don't want to hear nothing about Tom Brady because a lot of guys have had Hall of Fame quarterbacks throwing to him. Hell, I had one, and Antonio Gates is going to have one. Gonzalez had a lot of good quarterbacks, but I don't know if he's going to have any. We'll see what happens with Matt Ryan down the road. But this kid was special, and it was a joy to watch him play. Like I said, if it's over, unbelievable career.
Okay. My gut feeling, and maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, is that he will play again. He did retire once back in 2019 and came back. Gut feeling, yes, But you make a compelling case, and these two lists that I
his body is not like Tom's.
No, compelling case. It's just time. To be over.
Skip, I don't believe he would have retired the first time had he been somewhere else. I believe he retired. He was mentally fatigued, mentally and physically burnt out of New England and Coach Belichick.
Yeah, that's Patriot way.
That's why after a year, he's like, if y'all let me go, I'll go somewhere else. I just can't come back here.
He was also special in that I don't think any player could have loosened up the Patriot way like Gronk did.
No.
He got away with a lot because he backed it up.
Yes.
Whew.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.